on to some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to All Things Horror. I am your host Ben and I'm joined here with my co-host Matt. If you're new to the show, each week we choose a movie to break down and review, give it our honest opinions and rate it from 1 to 10. We have a brief spoiler-free chat about the movie before heading into the plot and discussing our favourite and least favourite parts of the film. And if you stick around until the end, we'll finish off with some interesting trivia and a fun little horror game created by myself. This week we are going to be discussing the winner of our zombie poll pick, and that is 28 Days Later from 2002. This movie is about a deadly virus outbreak in London, and that affects anyone who comes into contact with it, turning them into brain-dead killers. Directed by Danny Boyle, with a good cast of Cillian Murphy, Brendan Gleeson, Christopher Eccleston and Naomie Harris, with a total runtime of 1 hour and 48 minutes. Yeah. As I mentioned, this is the winner of the zombie poll pick, which
that was a surprise. I think.
Yeah, I
I thought that maybe they'd go for Romero. I always think people are going to go for Romero with zombie ones.
Yeah. But I think you wanted this one, didn't you? Because they've announced the third installment 28 years later.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen this for so long, or the sequel, and I feel like they kind of washed over me a bit at the time, because I've always had a funny thing about Danny Boyle, where I know he makes good films, but I always find them quite clinical, and they're good films, and he's a good filmmaker, and this is a good film with a good screenwriter as well, and Alex Garland, who's gone on to do Annihilation and Ex Machina and all those films. He's a good writer, so it's a good combination of people, and like you said, a good cast like Cillian Murphy and Naomie Harris, Christopher Eccleston, who was in Shallow Grave. Danny Boyle was famous for Shallow Grave, and I remember watching Shallow Grave and being like, it's okay. It's good that a northern guy is done so well. Without a kind of background in the arts or anything. He's just kind of, made a name for himself in a predominantly London-based industry in the UK. But I still think the best thing Danny Boyle ever did was the closing ceremony of the Olympics. Did he do the opening? He did the opening as well. Yeah. So I'm not the world's biggest Danny Boyle fan.
No.
But yeah, what's your history with this film? Have you obviously you've seen it before, but were you a fan? Did you it's great or?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan when it came out. I remember watching it on VHS when it first came out, and obviously I had a crappy TV back then, and this is quite a dark film, so I was struggling to see a lot of the stuff because there's a lot of stuff is very dark lighting and stuff like that, so I didn't connect with it straight away. And obviously I was more into the Romero zombies, like Dawn of the Dead. I was obsessed with Dawn of the Dead, so this was a massive change from I don't know, is this considered a zombie movie? I know they don't like calling it zombies, but
yeah, it's a zombie movie though, isn't it? Even if they don't want to, they want to call it that. It is.
They want to call it an infected movie or something.
Walking Dead, we're doing something different. We're going to call them walkers, and maybe we change a few things here or there, But essentially, the Romero zombie is the template. So whether you make them run, whether you make them a bit more intelligent, whether you make them hybrids or whatever it is you want to do, essentially Romero's the template. Because before that, zombies were kind of seen as more witch doctory from far away, kind of on remote islands, and that's what a zombie is, reanimating the dead, and it's a kind of, black magic kind of thing. Whereas I feel like Romero, at least maybe it wasn't the first, but certainly popularized the modern zombie. And, if we're like, they're swarming on us and they're running really fast, whether it's like World War Z or whatever, or World War Z, as we call it in the UK.
Yeah,
this is more like that, isn't it? More like World War Z or World War Z.
Yeah, because it was so different. I kind of see it as like a reimagined version of a zombie movie. It's so different, but it's the same.
Well, for one thing, other than Shaun of the Dead, which is obviously like a comedic take on it, you've not really got British.
No, that's true.
A lot of British zombie movies. There's The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, which is a weird kind of hybrid of Spanish and English and all kinds of different things. But straight up, if you said British zombie movie to most people, unless we're talking about, things that where you can argue if it's a zombie movie, most people would say this.
Yeah. And this is like really kind of like well respected as well. I remember when it came out, it had a lot of hype behind it, and I've noticed as well, like during COVID, everyone was obsessed with like virus type movies. So I think this had like another like wave of comeback, like during COVID, like everyone wanted to watch films like that.
Yeah, it's like when we watched Host, there was like that kind of being isolated, but obviously in that one they were just being haunted or stalked by one entity. Yeah, or at least we think they were. But this idea of him being stood there on, is it Tower Bridge?
Yeah.
And that is people. I'm pretty sure people were taking pictures of themselves going out getting their shopping and stuff in empty streets and kind of trying to match 28 days later. Because I guess things like Contagion and this and like they're obviously, when they're written, they're fiction.
Yeah.
But then when real things happen, and obviously catching COVID didn't make you a zombie, but it certainly was unusual in terms of the way we lived our lives for a while. So you can understand people putting that together and kind of trying to make it maybe a bit more exciting by watching a movie that's kind of similar to what they're going through.
Yeah. I also think it's quite respected as well because they didn't milk like a whole franchise out of it. I know they're making their third one now, but films of the same era, this was 2002, other films around that time was like Wrong Turn, Saw, Paranormal Activity. They went on to make God knows how many, like 10 or something of all of them. Yeah. And I kind of feel like when you do that, when you milk it for what it is, it kind of takes away the limelight from the original, the first one. Yeah. Because everyone knows the first one of everything is just the best. But when you make 10 of them, it's like, oh yeah, that's the ones that have made 10 of the same things. It's really boring now. But this one, I mean, a lot of people go back to this one, and even the weeks later as well. I'm not sure when 28 Weeks Later came out. But
it was only a couple of years later, wasn't it? And then the big gap. So unlike, say, films where they do a sequel to something so far in the future that you think, oh, well, they're all old now, or the people making it are old, or the people in it are old. Not so much in a zombie film because a lot of people die. But like, for example, they're making a new Spinal Tap. They're making a new Spaceballs. That worries me because it's so long and there hasn't been any sequels, and you're going to judge it against something from the 80s and it's not going to be as good. The likelihood is it's not going to be as good, or can't be as good, no matter how good it is. Yeah. So what are you aiming for, really? I don't know. Maybe it's like seen as a retirement plan for some people. Whereas, like, I'm surprised Danny Boyle, he doesn't strike me as the kind of person wanting to go over things that he's done before. Like, I know he kind of he was attached to Bond for a while, but I guess he creatively couldn't come to something that was like exciting or new enough for him. And that's just a guess. And then obviously there's a big gap between the second one and this new one, so it should be interesting to see what it does. And whether I doubt it'll be like a kind of Force Awakens where it's pretty much the first film but just kind of remixed for new audiences. I think it'll be something completely different. I don't think Danny Boyle will come in and just do another 28 Days Later. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could go any way it wanted to, really. I mean, what's it, like a 20-odd year gap between... so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Society's more like the films now anyway, so you'd have to be really over the top to me.
Yeah. What was your reaction? Like, oh, yeah, when did you first watch this, by the way?
So I watched it on DVD at university, so... or just post-university, probably. So, sorry, I've not got... some reason, I've not written down the... It was 2002. So, yeah, so I'll have been I think I'll have been at university when I watched this. And I was just starting my horror phase around then. Just starting, because I've done film studies and done creative writing and I've done screenwriting, and everything was... And horror was never talked about. Like, none of the film. So, me being me, all the films that they told me to watch, obviously, I watched them... or tried to get around watching them, or did something, to try and... Because I didn't like being told that this is a good film and this is a bad... So I started watching horror films just because those were the films that people were not telling me to watch. So it was around that time, and I had a friend who was really into Resident Evil.
Right.
And the games, and he was a real, my housemate was a gamer. So he was like, this feels a bit like that game. Like, let's watch this. And he got really into it. And I think, if I'm not sure, could be wrong, but I think he'd either watched or read the book or watched the film of The Beach, written by Alex Garland.
Okay, yeah.
With Leonardo DiCaprio in it, and really liked that. So I think I was just kind of brought along for the ride, watching, going into somebody else's room and watching a movie.
Yeah.
And I don't remember too much of whether I liked it or not. I think I was just like, yeah, it was good. It is good. But it was good enough for me to watch the sequel when that came out, so I must have liked it to a certain degree.
Yeah, because I know you're a big Romero fan. Did you start with Romero and then watch this later on? I just want to know how you felt going from like a traditional old zombie movie and then straight into this.
Do you know what? I probably didn't. I think I got... This is really going to be really strange, but I think I got into, and this timeline could be wrong, so 28 Days was 2002, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And when was Shaun of the Dead?
Oh, God.
Let's have a look. I'll have a quick look. Shaun, if I type in Shaun of, it should come up, shouldn't it? Have I spelled Shaun wrong? Yes, I have. So that's 2004.
Right. Okay.
So, and what? Sorry, I've completely forgotten what we said. 2002. So I don't think I watched this when it first came out. I think I waited a couple of years and watched it when I was at uni. So it probably 2004. I was still at uni. So I don't think I watched it for 2 years after it came out. I didn't go to the cinema to see it, and I think either around the same time as I watched Shaun of the Dead, and it was Shaun of the Dead that got me into Romero, because I listened to the audio commentaries and listened to Edgar Wright talking about how amazing Romero was. I think Romero pops up in Shaun of the Dead. There's a few things like that, and that really got me into... I watched all of them in order, and probably then I watched 28 Days Later, and for whatever reason, Romero just hit me more than 28 Days Later.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
I'm not a big fan of gritty British things, though, if I'm honest. Like a kitchen sink British drama, or like a grimy London city block kind of stuff, doesn't really interest me. I don't know why. I don't know why that is, but it just didn't get me dead excited to watch it. But it is a good film. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm glad. It's just I'm not sure about my timeline of zombies, but I know around the same time I probably started reading the comic of Walking Dead as well, so everything's all kind of mishmashed in with it.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely love the comic books of Walking Dead. Like, I could not wait to read the next ones.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just wondering, if it shocked you, because I know it shocked me, and I would imagine quite a lot of people, when you found out that zombies could not only run, but they were really fast, sprinting, running, that. To me, I'm not sure if I liked it at first, but
no, so a lot of people don't.
Yeah,
a lot of people are like, well, that's not how it's supposed to be. The thing is, though, it's as you say, there are rules to every genre.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if people break those rules in an interesting way, that's how art is created, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
Somebody started, I don't know, like the Beatles started growing their hair out a bit and playing their own version of, rhythm and blues, and that became them. You know what I mean? Like everybody does a little switch. You've got to try and push those boundaries a bit. And I think what Danny Boyle did that was clever is he doesn't change everything. He just changed some really key stuff.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty much the same. There's just some key bits that you're like, oh, that's different.
Yeah. No,
the
I
running
agree.
being one, and like the ravenous running is the more dangerous straight away.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. And I think...
Do you think it was influenced by computer games? Because I'm not a gamer. Do you think it was influenced by computer games 28 Days Later?
Possibly.
I feel like it's a bit like a first-person shooter kind of... It's not filmed that way, is it? But
yeah, no.
I feel like it could be.
But there are some shots, and I'm sure we'll get to it later, where they're like coming straight at you, kind of like first-person, like POV.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I didn't even recognize Cillian Murphy.
No,
like he looks so different. He looks so different, so young.
Yeah, I forgot. This must have been quite early in his career.
He's like a baby in it.
He's gone on to obviously do great from his career. Lately he's done the Oppenheimer and.
Yeah, still not seen that.
Yeah, me too.
I know him from. I think I may have. I didn't see Sunshine, the Danny Boyle one. I haven't. Obviously, I know him from The Dark Knight. He's not seen Oppenheimer. I'm not. Peaky Blinders does not interest me in the slightest.
No.
I've seen A Quiet Place Part 2. I believe he's in that. Inception. I remember that being a really great cast. But obviously, that was the film that kind of made Tom Hardy a big star as well.
Yeah.
I love Inception. I think Inception's a fantastic film. But I'm not like somebody who's like, oh, I'm a big Cillian Murphy fan or anything. I couldn't tell you if I think he's a good actor or not. Let's put it that way. Like I don't know. I don't remember coming away from 28 Days Later and thinking, my God, that guy was amazing.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. All right. Cool. Jim. Yeah. Jim. That's kind of all I've really got. I've just got a couple of things. Like I found out that they used actual athletes for a lot of the zombies, or the infected, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, I think they had. Yes, I think I heard that, or I saw an interview with somebody. Maybe a 400-meter runner who represented Great Britain, saying he was in 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that sounds legit. So I'll mention somebody who's in this. Who's got a really interesting face and used to do a lot of comedy. David Schneider. He used to do a lot of the Alan Partridge and Armando Iannucci shows and like British satire. He plays the doctor, like a kind of doctor character in it. I'm not sure what he's called. Scientist. He plays one of the scientists.
Okay. All right.
And I was like, I don't often see him in films. Well, if I show you, I know this is an audio podcast, but if I show you the picture.
Yeah,
you'll recognize him. Yeah. He's got such an interesting face, and I just think it's a really good bit of casting. Obviously, Christopher Eccleston's known now more for being Doctor Who, I guess.
Yeah, man. What else? Oh, yeah, I found out that it's quite interesting. Some of the filming was done using like temporary closed streets, or like it was filmed like really early in the morning when no one would have been around, so they just kind of like set up and filmed kind of thing.
So somebody like works the night shift just wandering in and there's a lot of zombies running around.
Yeah.
Just getting the train and going past on the train or something and just being like, what the hell is going on over there?
Where am I?
Yeah, I'm going home. I mean, this is the thing, is like, how do you respond in a zombie attack? Most people just like get as far away from it as possible, surely.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to pick up my axe and,
go to war.
My machete or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you mentioned something funny that kind of links me and you, is that it kind of starts around where you live and finishes about where I live.
It does, yeah. And I didn't even like realize that until I was like starting making my notes and going through the plot. Yeah, it starts in London and ends in Cumbria.
That's so strange because I would definitely do the same. Well, obviously I wouldn't have as far to go, but I definitely wouldn't go towards built-up places.
No.
And sometimes I take my dog for a walk and all I see is sheep, so it makes sense. Unless we get zombie sheep. But there were also little. I was thinking about this when I was walking the dog after you'd said that. I saw some. Well, there's one in the local newspaper up for sale, but then there's another abandoned one nearby. Little mini nuclear bunkers.
Oh, okay.
Where you can literally underground, tiny little one-room things with like a toilet and a little mini kitchen. You pull them down and then you sort of screw them closed at the top, and you're completely sealed off. The one near me is full of water, so obviously that's not very good.
That's good.
But they sold one recently, but it was only a couple of weeks ago. They sold it, they auctioned it, and I was thinking that's where I would go.
Yeah,
I think they only got like 180. I mean, not even 180 grand. Maybe it's probably like 100 grand for it, something like that. Still quite a lot for a little thing.
Huh.
But I was like, yeah, that's what I'd have if there was a zombie apocalypse. Just go in there. So I wouldn't go towards London, I don't think.
No.
More zombies likelihood.
Yeah.
There's already people going to stab you anyway, so.
True.
It's already dangerous enough as it is.
Yeah, definitely. All right, shall I hit that spoiler warning? We'll go through this plot.
Spoil it.
Spoilers.
Spoiler warning.
All right, so this movie starts off in a lab in Cambridge. Cambridge. I'm thinking of Cumbria. Cambridge, UK. We see a highly contagious virus called the Rage virus. It's being used on chimpanzees. And then a group of animal rights activists turn up and free them. And of course, then an enraged chimp attacks. And within seconds, one of the activists succumbs to the virus and immediately infects another. The virus spreads rapidly across Great Britain, resulting in a total societal collapse. Yeah, that feels oddly familiar.
that was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, how did you, before we get into the next bit, because it goes 28 days later, how did you think of the intro to this movie, the whole lab incident with the chimps?
Well, I'm never a fan of anything that looks like animals are in distress, even if they're CG animals, which I don't think these would be because money. But actually, that's a good question. I mean, it's not a tiny budget, is it?
It's
like
8
million or something.
Yeah.
And it made more than made its money back. Did really well. I was just thinking, because did you ever see Shallow Grave?
No.
So that was 94. Obviously, then he directed Trainspotting in 96.
Yeah.
So he's got a bit of a track record of making money. And it's interesting, I think we've said this before, that once you kind of mess that up, you go back to the beginning of the queue and start again on smaller budgets.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think he's ever, and I don't know how Yesterday did the Beatles one, which I thought was appalling. I thought that was such a terrible, terrible film with Ed Sheeran popping up and the ghost of John Lennon and all that crap. And I don't normally say films are terrible, but I sat through that and I just thought, this is awful. But Shallow Grave. So what I'm saying is he's kind of earned a bit of money to make a film, like a good film, like with a decent amount of money. But I don't know. Do you reckon all that monkey stuff is just like real monkeys?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm with you. Sometimes the animal parts of movies can get a bit close to the line. I mean, obviously we don't know what was going on behind the scenes. Hopefully everything was good and they had
you'd expect
trainers
so in
in place.
2000s, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I did like the whole setup. It was a little predictable. I mean, we know what's going to happen, so it's just, get on with it kind of things. But I feel like it wasted no time in explaining stuff. Something that we already knew. Like, instead of having some big backstory explaining everything that we already kind of know, it just jumps straight into the thick of it. Here's the lab, here's the situation, and here's how the outbreak happened.
Yeah, it's a good point. I just wonder if in my head, I'm sure I've said this to you before, and we've talked about this, films that we think we know really well, and then when they start, like in my head, the film starts with him stood outside looking around.
Yeah.
But I think that might be because of the way. Do you think that might be because of the way trailers show us those little moments, and that's the bit we remember the most because we've seen it in the. Like, I'm pretty sure the trailer has him like stood out, looking around, and there's no one there, and he's in his kind of scrubs.
Yeah, and posters, pictures. You Google this. You know, you look on Google Images or whatever and try and look for a picture. Near enough, everyone you'll see is just him in his scrubs, just walking around London. So I think that's probably the scene that everyone's connected to. So when they start the movie, they're thinking, oh, where's this scene?
Yeah, like I thought that was honestly, I genuinely thought that was the first scene of the movie. And I was just like, what's all this monkey stuff? It's ridiculous, really, no?
Yeah. So, then it goes 28 days later, and we meet Jim, who wakes up in hospital after being in a coma. Unaware of the outbreak, he roams the deserted hospital and the empty streets of London. He ends up in a church where he's then chased by infected humans before being rescued by survivors Selina and Mark. They explain the situation, and Jim wants to check on his parents, so they all go and they find that they died by suicide, and they left a note in which they prayed for him not to wake up.
Great.
Yeah, the group decide to stay the night as it's too late to then go back out and travel back to their little hideout. And then when Jim lights a candle, he accidentally attracts the infected. The three of them fight him off. But when discovered that Mark has a wound on his arm, Selina wastes no time in killing him. Yeah.
Do you think that the people in this film are more realistic in the way they fight zombies than, say, Walking Dead or George Romero, where suddenly everyone becomes a really good fighter? Or do you feel that this is the same, where suddenly he becomes like a badass?
I do. I think this is much more realistic. Because I think we see people die throughout. It's like we meet a character and then he's been bit, or he's been scratched, or he's got blood in his eye. You know, it's quite like, you know, like you say, not everyone is a fighter.
No, yeah, it's like Zombieland's a funny one as well, isn't it? Where you expect that the people, like when real life movie stars turn up and things like that. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but like you think, oh, he's going to be really good at fighting or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean that, does it?
No,
because they're just actors. So, like in this, I think it's a very British thing. Like it'd be a bit almost, we'd be embarrassed to have the lead character be an absolute like legend straight away, and just you'd want him to kind of fall over and learn how to do it and make mistakes and almost die in order for us to like him. Whereas in America, they want him to be like muscly and really good at fighting, even though he's like, you know, a hairdresser or a, you know, works in a I don't know, bakery or something.
I'd like to know what Americans think of this film, because obviously Americans, you know, they have all the guns. So you see zombie films in America, they're just like all armed up to the teeth, just like blasting people with shotguns and rifle, you know, everything. But that's not the case in the UK. We don't have gun shops or anything like that. So we have golf clubs, cricket bats, like javelin poles,
LP records.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like even the places he goes to, like his mum and dad's house is like Deptford, and like it's quite grim what they've done. There's no like bravery in the film that much, really.
Yeah.
It's more circumstance than bravery. Whereas I think like American zombie films, they try and get people to be brave, or have lead characters who are brave and lead everyone along with them. Like I always think like Romero's quite good at being a bit more subtle and getting messages and stories into it. When people try and make a Romero movie, they just have like some guy with, you know, bullets all over his, like crisscrossing his shoulders and just mowing down zombies, and you're just like, okay, that's fun for about 2 minutes.
Yeah. So like if there was a zombie apocalypse now, Like, what would you be arming yourself with? What's near to you, or like in your house or garden?
Well, everything's in a mess. So I've got some right next to me. I've got my guitar, but it's probably too heavy to lift up and start swinging around. Even though it's pretty heavy enough to smash somebody's skull in. I've thought about this. Let's see what else. Got some VHS tapes. No, not so much. Got some boxing gloves. So that'd be a waste of time because I don't really want to protect them. I've got a tiny hammer that I was just knocking something in with. It's literally going to do nothing. Got some pliers. I could pull the nipples off. Printer. I could smash them with a printer, like Office Space. What about you? What have you got? I've got action figures, but I don't want to damage those. I've got a lightsaber.
Lightsaber, yeah, that'll be good.
Plastic though.
I don't even know. I'll be out in the shed looking to see what I could do out there.
That's a good point. I get my mallet. I get my hammer.
But you need something long enough to where you're not too close to them. I think the only thing...
I'd tape a hammer to like a broom handle.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm just thinking, like, I think the only thing that I've got out there that's sharp or can do any damage is like garden shears. But
Cropsey.
you got to get close enough to like chop the head off.
What have I got? I've got an edging tool for like cutting the grass edges. I've got my lawnmower. That's not really a good one. It's not really gonna. It's not like a ride-on lawnmower where I could just mow them down. That would be fun. No, I don't think I've got anything. I've got a mallet, and to be honest, I would just swing that around wildly. I think I've got a mallet. I've got a hammer. I don't know if I've got anything too pointy. That's a good question. I'll go and have a look once we've finished and see what I've got, just in case.
A hammer with some rope around it, so you can throw the hammer and then pull it back.
Yeah, I don't hit myself in the head with it. Just swinging around and knocking myself out. Next thing, I'll wake up, I'm a zombie.
Yeah. Anyway, back to this.
You've got to think of these things. It's important.
Yeah, I think about it all the time.
Public service announcement.
I couldn't help but feel like this feels an awful lot like The Walking Dead. Did you get that? I know you like the comics, but did you watch the series?
Of The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
I did. Coral. I watched it. I watched it until, I don't want to, again, spoilers, be careful, I suppose, but I watched it until they really deviated from the comics.
Right.
Which didn't bother me too much to start with, but then it was just a way of some of my favourite characters kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think like a lot of things, a bit like Dexter and other certain ones, they dropped off as they went along.
Yeah.
I think they went too long. The problem is The Walking Dead, you could do it forever because the comics are just like so much. But when it was in line with the comics, I found it quite exciting because then I was like, oh, this is going to happen just like I read. This is going to happen just like I read. And then I was like, that's not like I read.
No. But yeah.
So I don't know. What did you watch? Walking Dead? I think the actors were all great.
Yeah. I loved it. Well, I loved it. Probably the same as you. I don't know when I dropped off, but I watched it all the way until the last season. I didn't watch the last season, but I'd stopped enjoying it as much after about 4 seasons, maybe. I don't know when that was. The prison, I think. Again, I don't want to give away too much, people, but
no, the prison stuff is probably where the comic books peak as well. Maybe the stuff with the governor, and they did some. And I will recommend the first couple. They did a couple of Walking Dead novels, which kind of just focused on the governor, which were really, really good. And then again, they tailed off as well.
Yeah.
I even played a bit of the Telltale games, Walking Dead's on my Xbox 360. So like I was really into it. And again, I think it just kind of drifts away. It's disappointing when you kind of don't see things through to the end, but it'd be impossible now because there's so many spin-offs. And I think there's a new spin-off starting now with Negan and what's her name? Annie? Is it Annie? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, my mind's going completely blank, but yeah. It's just a shame that I think American make some amazing stuff, and I like a lot of American things, but sometimes they milk properties until they're not worth watching anymore, which is a shame.
Oh yeah, one thing I was going to say is I found it quite amusing how like the subtext, the 28 days later, is also the title credit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could start their film there, I guess.
Yeah.
Would it be a different film? Probably not.
Yeah. So Jim and Selena, they encounter cab driver Frank and his daughter Hannah. He tells them about a military broadcast offering protection in Manchester. With low supplies, they decide to all go together in Frank's cab. But when they arrive, they find it deserted. Frank then gets infected when a drop of blood falls in his eye, infected blood. And then soldiers arrive shortly after to shoot him dead. I've got to say, like, Frank's death, that's quite an emotional scene. I'm not going to lie. Like, he knew straight away what the situation was. And, like, he turns to his daughter, says he loves her, before literally immediately straight after shouting at her to get away from him.
Yeah.
And there's a few moments like that in this. Like,
yeah, it feels like a British, like, maybe that's why I'm not like totally invested in it in a strange sort of way, like a British kitchen sink drama, BBC One kind of, emotional thing at times, like, which I think is good because it's different to other zombie films.
Yeah.
But equally, it's definitely like the opposite of Hollywood, isn't it?
Yeah. Even the bit where Jim finds his parents dead in bed and they leave that note. That's quite a sad,
grim.
sad scene as well.
It's like that nuclear apocalypse film or TV show that I haven't seen. I've only seen a bit of. I think, is it called Bandages or Stitches or something? And there's like a guy on the front of it and he's got like his face all bandaged up. And it was kind of like to show you what a nuclear apocalypse would look like in Britain within a certain amount of time. And that's like supposed to be super, super grim and like scared a lot of people at the time. And it's a bit like this in here where they're not shying away from the fact that he actually has friends and family who he loves. Yeah.
A lot of people don't really like this part in the movie because it slows the pace down. It does slow it down, like the pace does slow down. But I think that's like the best part. Like that's the redeemable part of this movie. Like in amidst all this chaos, you get this almost like family-like aspect. Like it's like a little bit of nice sweetness and sadness all rolled into one before it all goes to fall apart again. Yeah, and I think it really needed that. Otherwise it would just be like every other zombie movie. Yeah,
I think you do. Even like Romero's very good at doing it quite quickly.
Yeah.
Which is getting you to care about those characters and having very distinct personalities. I think that's why Night of the Living Dead's my favourite one, because it's all every character personality is very clear all the way through, and you know who you're rooting for and who you're not, and you start to care for them a bit more or get frustrated with them a bit more depending on what they've been through and what's happening in their heads. Some of them, they don't do that, and like you say, when they die you just go okay. Yeah, they need to have that. The one I was thinking of that does that, the British one that I was thinking of, I have not seen all the way through because it was really hard watch, but I might try again, was called Threads from 1984.
Okay.
And it's basically about the nuclear war threats between Russia and the United States end up like a war happening. And like a nuclear base in Sheffield gets targeted, and there's like nuclear fallout all around Sheffield.
All right.
So it's like that kind of thing where there's like one of the characters is pregnant, and there's like a lot of emotion in it.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminded me of the beginning of that. And I'm sure Danny Boyle was aware of that from 1984. So
wow. Oh, okay. The others, they're brought to a like fortified mansion under the command of Major Henry West. However, the safety that was promised turns out to be bullshit when West reveals to Jim that the broadcast was intended to lure female survivors into sexual slavery. Major West has Jim taken out to be shot, but Jim escapes and releases Private Mailer, an infected soldier who's kept chained up, resulting in the death or infection of all West's men. When Jim, Selena and Hannah make a getaway in the cab, West is in the back seat, so Hannah throws it in reverse, allowing Mailer to pull West through the rear window and allowing them to drive off. And then another 28 days later, we see them at a remote cottage in Cumbria, where the...
Does it say whereabouts?
I don't think it does, no. Where the infected are shown lying in the roads dying of starvation. As an RAF jet flies over, Jim, Selena and Hannah unwrap a huge banner that spells the word hello. They watch it fly over and wonder if they saw them.
So makes you think.
Yeah.
It makes you think, what if that happened to us? Then what would we do? So I've got the locations up, which should be quite interesting.
Yeah.
So we've got badminton in Gloucestershire.
Right.
Which I didn't even realise was a place. I just thought it was a game. Pinewood Studios, where my dad's uncle used to work. We never met him, but Pinewood Studios.
Pinewood.
Cambridge Primate Research Centre was Pinewood Studios.
Right.
The hospital exteriors, you might know some of these places. St Thomas's Hospital in London.
Okay.
The ending scene, shockingly, right, is my favourite place to go walking my dog.
All right. So it was
Ennerdale,
actually it was actually filmed in Cumbria, was it?
Yeah. So the ending scene's Ennerdale Water, which is about 35 minutes drive from my house.
Oh wow.
And it's one of the nicest lakes in. It's quite hard to get to. Like, I got my car stuck once driving down there, but it's the loveliest lake. I've not been for a while now, but because the weather's been so terrible, but absolutely love it. So yeah, Ennerdale Water, which is in Clayton Moor, Ennerdale Bridge in Cumbria. Also, obviously, Trafalgar Square. Newquay. There's a part in Newquay. I'm not sure which bit that is. It's the wind farm in Newquay. The Isle of Dogs in London. Piccadilly Circus. Tilbury in Essex. The Blackwall Tunnel, Westminster Bridge.
Yeah.
Said that already. Canary Wharf.
Yeah.
Docklands. Tottenham Court Road.
Yeah.
Salisbury in Wiltshire.
That's quite interesting, the fact that...
There's loads of places.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Near enough, like, all the places that were filmed in the film were actually supposed to be where they were in the film.
Yeah, the weird one was the German one. The Cambridge. Oh no, sorry, no. So the studio was at Pine. There was a studio work done at Pinewood, but the Cambridge Primate Research Centre was filmed in Germany for some reason.
In
Württemberg, wherever that is, and Stuttgart. Oh, Stuttgart. There we go. So we've got mainly in England.
Yeah.
One bit of Germany. How strange! But they must spend so much money moving around all these different places. London, Wiltshire. What's the one down really far down south called? Oh geez, mine's gone blank now. I literally just said it. Like posh place people go when they're going on holidays. Cornwall.
Oh, Cornwall. Yeah.
So yeah, you've got a lot of moving around. It's not just like all in. Well, I suppose if they're so fast.
Yeah.
If they're a bit slower, like in Night of the Living Dead, you could just spend the whole film inside one house.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if they filmed it in order as well. Like started down south and then worked their way up north.
That's a good point.
Like the way they did in the film, because the whole film is about travelling up, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It doesn't say the order, and it repeats some of the places as well on the list, so it looks like a lot more. And by the way, it was Newquay was what I was trying to remember before.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, wow, I don't think I've seen many films that have been in so many different places. Obviously, that's probably why he went into space when he did Sunshine. He was just like, we'll just stay in one, film it all in one place.
All right, brilliant. So, moving on to our rating, what would you give this film out of 10?
Ooh, I'm going to let you go first on this one, I think.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I hadn't seen it in a long time. I think I enjoyed it much more this time around than when I first saw it. I mean, I first saw it on a VHS on a crappy TV, so I don't think it could really handle like some of the dark scenes. Like the tunnel scene is the one that's sticking out for me. That was very dark. But seeing it now, obviously in HD, much clearer, the way it was meant to be seen, it's definitely one of the better scenes in the movie. There's a lot of tension in that one, so I definitely enjoyed that scene. I also feel, because it's a British movie, I connected to it a lot more. Like, zombies aside, I feel it felt very real and something that could actually go down. Like, if it was to happen, then that is near enough what would happen. So, yeah, I did connect with it. I think it was pretty good. So, I think I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Ooh, cool. Yeah, it's the realism's a good kind of call there, I think, as well. Like, you know, it does make it hit home when you see places or people or types of people that you recognize or kind of getting, a feeling for. I kind of got that certainly with the Britishness of Host and Dashcam and films like that. And Ghostwatch as well. Ghostwatch being particular. I wonder if Ghostwatch is more scary for most people because it's like British television personalities that you trust and understand. So there's a lot of like Britishness in it. So I like that. I think he's a great director. Don't get me wrong. With the exception of Yesterday, I don't think he's made a bad film. Just keep hammering Yesterday. So obviously he's got. Yeah, I wouldn't say I was like the world's biggest Danny Boyle fan, but I think this is a landmark film for Britain and basically for horror in general, to kind of we join the party a little bit more. But I guess I don't want to undersell how important Shaun of the Dead is as well. Like, I just think it goes along almost the companion pieces in a strange sort of way, a more serious take on it and a silly take on it. So I would say I'm going to give this 6.5. 7 if I absolutely loved it. I thought I was going to, and I didn't absolutely love it. I maybe even need to watch it for a third time,
Yeah.
I don't know, and maybe watch it with the sequel, then watch the third one all in a row, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. This does make me want to watch the sequel.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the TV series written by Charlie Brooker called Dead Set?
Is that the Big Brother one?
Yeah, Big Brother Zombies.
Yeah. I watched that, yeah.
It just made me think a bit of that as well. Like, I don't know, just, I guess the Britishness of it. There's not a lot of humour in this, though, is there?
No. Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. I like that. That was good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he went on to do some really good, I've not seen all of them, but some of the Black Mirror stuff I've seen is incredible.
Yeah. All right, cool. 6.5 from you, 7.5 from me.
Nice.
Let's move on to some trivia.
Oh, yeah.
Trivia. Oh, yeah.
Right, so what we got? The scene where Jim and Selena celebrate with Frank and Hannah, that was shot on September the 11th, 2001. 9/11. Danny Boyle recalled it feeling very strange to shoot a celebratory scene on that particular day.
Yeah, that is strange.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be a pretty awkward time to pretend to be celebrating.
Yeah, I can't even remember what I was. I remember watching it on television. I was just trying to think what I was doing.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think I was at college. Maybe my friend texted me and said like, "Should put on the telly or something," or I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't have liked to have been in sort of work or like having to do something fun.
For the scenes on the motorway, the production got permission to shoot on the M1 on a Sunday morning between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. The police gradually slowed the traffic down in both directions. They used 10 cameras. The filmmakers managed to capture a total of 1 minute of usable footage. Wow. 2 hours recording, and he only got 1 minute to play with.
It reminds me a bit of when you were telling me about how they filmed American Werewolf in London. There must be a lot of rules.
Yeah.
To like filming in the centre of London or nearby.
Yeah, I forgot to say, I think as well, this was like one of the first films to actually go digital, like cameras. That's why they was able to have so many. They had like 10 cameras on the go.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you've got to do it quick in a big city anyway, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's probably why a lot of places use other cities and pretend that they're big cities.
Yeah.
Just the ease of it. I wonder if it costs more to film in big cities as well.
I'd imagine so. Yeah. Christopher Eccleston and the other soldiers in the film did a 3-day training program of real soldiers to help them learn how to carry themselves believably. Yeah, that's good. I like when actors like commit themselves to a role.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like someone who is more interested in being an actor than being a star. So, like, it sounds right that he would want to. Oh, certainly, Christopher Eccleston would want to take it seriously and do a good job.
Yeah. The execution pit scene was filmed outside a church of, where's this? Witherington Road, connecting Salisbury to Downton. After the filming finished, one of the prop teams didn't pick up the fake bodies, and when a local hairdresser from Downton saw them from the road, she panicked, crashed her car, and phoned the police, who then came to investigate and interrogate the crew.
Bloody hell.
Wow, that's hilarious.
It happens though, doesn't it? Like, I saw a guy with a fishing rod and I thought, that guy's got a gun. It looked like a gun.
Wow. All right. Yeah, that's it for the trivia. Let's, if you're ready, we'll do this week's game.
Oh no, it was terrible last time. I think I got 1 or something.
No, we'll see.
I want to play a game.
Right, so this game I've done is Kill Count. I'm going to name some zombie movies, and you got to try and guess the kill counts.
Oh, so not higher or lower then?
It's obviously it's going to be near impossible to get it bang on, so I'm going to give you a tolerance like higher and lower within 10 kills.
10? Okay.
Yeah. 10 higher, 10 lower. All right, let's start with this one. 28 days later, how many kills? This is people and zombies.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man.
I'll give you a hint. All right, I've got 6 films lined up, and this is the highest out of all of them. Out of all the zombie movies,
hell.
It's the highest.
Right. I'm glad if I say it's going to be wrong. 100.
Oh wait, where's my?
You lost your numbers.
It was 178.
Oh, it should be nearest 100. Oh, it's not even the nearest 100. That'd be 200. Never mind.
All right,
Okay.
Next up, Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, okay.
And that one, out of all the 6, is the lowest one.
60. Sorry, 40.
It was 22, actually.
Oh, man. I just thought when they were picking them all off at the end, I was like, maybe they picked off more than I remembered, but obviously not. It shows how good they were at making me think they were doing more.
Yeah. Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, that'll be more. 150.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. It was 143. So yeah, that was within.
Yeah, oh, that's nearest 10.
Yeah.
I know my maths. No, I don't actually.
So that was Dawn of the Dead. What about Shaun of the Dead?
Oh, Shaun of the Dead. Well, you said the other one was the lowest, so 75. No, 60.
Oh, if you said 60, I'll give it to you. It was 51.
Okay.
Zombie flesh eaters. As the Americans call it, zombie.
Yeah. I'm not going to claim. I'm just going to go 100. But I doubt it because they're in the middle of nowhere.
It was 70.
So that's more than I thought.
And last up, Resident Evil.
Oh, well, it was all CGI ones, so like 1,000?
It was 106.
Is that all?
Yeah.
They could have just made loads of them, CGI ones.
Yeah, well, you got one.
Yeah, so it's not like budgetary how many zombies are in it. I was going with like low budget, not many zombies, high budget, loads of zombies because of CGI. This is the wrong strategy to have. And as you were saying that, I was trying to find out. I couldn't find out anywhere. I was trying to cheat. That it was like that they were influenced on this film by Resident Evil. And so I was like, oh right, okay, that was right. And also a lot of the money, because I was thinking, how have they got that amount of money? Some of the money came from the National Lottery.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
So there you go. A little bit of extra trivia. Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So just to wrap up, we are heading into sequel September. So the next few episodes, we're going to be diving into some sequels. So next up, I think we're going to do Friday the 13th. Because you're out next week, so we'll skip next week. But the week after will be Friday the 13th.
Oh.
So yeah, only it makes sense to do Friday the 13th, part 3.
Oh, part 3.
Yeah.
The one I've seen the least.
So we've done. The one I've seen the we've done 1 and 2, haven't we?
Yeah, 3D as well, isn't it?
3D.
Yeah. If only it was as good as Jaws 3D. Actually, compared to Jaws 4, Jaws 3 is not that bad.
Yeah. Friday the 13th, part 3.
Spooky.
And that's it. Unless you got anything else you want to
add? No, I just think that, maybe next time on the quiz I can phone a friend. That might be a good strategy. Don't get him worse. I went through a good spell with the quiz. I'd love to know if you keep the scores.
Yeah, I'll give you some lifelines.
Yeah, I'll have to think of some ways of, helping me out because I'm getting worse. It's my old age.
All right, I'll make the next one a lot easier.
Yeah, no, don't pity me. Don't give me like a pity one, and then I get 100% next time, and you're like, oh yeah, I made them dead easy. No.
What is Freddy's last name?
Freddy Voorhees. I hear that in my dreams.
Yeah. All right, cool. So if you've liked today's episode and want to hear more, then go ahead and give us a follow on wherever you're listening from. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, where you can vote on the monthly poll picks. That's all for today, so thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some video.